Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio radio no pictures live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the massive scam, the scam of scams, that is illegal immigration and then subsequent chain migration family reunion. Now, there was a propaganda sort of short documentary piece that's been produced by one of the world's most pro-mass migration, pro-illegal immigration propaganda media outlets. And it's produced complete with violin music, lots of brown people crying and lots of gay, lesbian, white people pontificating about their moral superiority and so on and so forth. Now, the whole thing is a massive scam costing gazillions of dollars, not only so far, but into the future. But somehow this is cited as some massive human rights victory. It's a victory for good people everywhere. It's a human rights extravaganza of a victory. Now, how this can be viewed so in anything other than just ideological insanity, I don't know what is. So let me just give you the story here now. 13 or 14 years ago, this guy, this illiterate goat herder peasant, so we're not talking rocket scientist here, this illiterate goat herder peasant leaves rural Pakistan, I think it was, or that part of the world at least, but I think it's rural Pakistan. He's a goat herder, okay? And somehow he decides to travel 6,000 miles through 5 countries to get to a refugee camp in Indonesia, United Nations refugee camp, where everything's supplied. Now, he claims, this hasn't been proven, and nor has anyone attempted to prove it or disprove it, he claims that some religious group wanted to kill him. They claim that he claims other relatives of his have been killed. Now, this hasn't been verified, so it's only just his allegation, nothing more. So he goes to this refugee camp. Now, remember, he's traveled through, if indeed his life was in danger, as he's claiming, he's traveled through 5, if not 6 safe countries. He's traveled past numerous refugee camps where he could have been fed and looked after, medical attention. He's traveled through all of them to get to a refugee camp that's not far from Australia. Now, he's had to bribe a lot of people to get. Now, remember, this is an illiterate goat herder. He's had to bribe a lot of people to get through all these countries. And then he pays a people smuggler, which is, a few $1,000 bucks. But where would an illiterate goat herder from the middle of nowhere get that sort of money? Anyway, he pays a people smuggler and they take him to Australia. So he arrives illegally in Australia. The law in Australia at the time was that you can't arrive on a boat illegally. You have to go through the proper processes. If you do arrive on a boat illegally, then you have to go to an offshore island, not Australia, but an island offshore from Australia. And there you have to stay and wait until you're processed, as in your application for asylum, whatever it is. Now, it's a hard thing because his claim is that there are people who want to kill him, but he leaves his family behind. Why would you do that if indeed things were so dangerous? Why wouldn't you all go to the nearest safe country, a refugee camp? Why didn't he go to the first refugee camp he came across, or the first safe country, which has the same religion and customs and habits and languages as him? And why wouldn't he go there for safety if indeed, as he claims, his life was in danger? But no. He's going to make a 6,000 kilometre journey and then come to Australia by paying people smugglers and, as I say, bribing. So already this is looking rather suspicious. Does he want a first world lifestyle? Well, that's looking more like it. Safety doesn't appear to be his first concern, nor does being with his family appear to be his concern. So he arrives in Australia. The government's going to deport him, or send him to this offshore island, or deport him. Now, he can, at any time, he can go back to the country of origin at any time. So, and the government will pay for it. So he's not a prisoner, far from it. Here's your plane ticket to go back to so he's not being confined, not by any stretch. The NGOs and the activists claim he's imprisoned behind razor wire while Hitler and swastikas surround him. No. You can go back at any time you want, courtesy of the Australian taxpayer. For some reason, he decides he's going to stay. He's going to wait it out. Now, he's encouraged in this by armies of NGOs, all who claim charity status, but they engage in what's, I think it was a 12 or 13 year legal battle against the Australian government. And they prevent his deportation. They prevent him being sent to an offshore island. So he's able to stay in Australia in government housing with a government pension and government money and handouts and free mobile phone and free this, that, and the next thing. This illiterate goat herder peasant is able to stay in Australia for over 12 years while these NGOs provide free, absolutely free legal. So now, just looking at the amount of court hearings and legal filings and documents and higher courts, this and that and next thing, going through that, we're talking in excess of $1 million in legal, as my estimation, this is my estimation, in excess of $1 million in legal fees to fight the deportation for this illiterate goat herder peasant who arrived illegally, shouldn't even be here anyway. So how they're able to string out these legal cases is quite beyond me. But if they lose a case, then they instantly get appeals. They magically seem to get activist judges to hear the case. Don't know how they do that, but that's interesting in itself. And then they're able to work. So it's over 12 years. The government then changes the law saying that if you're already here in Australia, you've been here a certain amount of time, it doesn't matter whether you arrived illegally or what laws you broke or anything like that, or whether your claim for asylum is verified. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. As long as you've been here a certain amount of time, then you can now claim citizenship. So now citizenship in itself is a hurdle because you have, theoretically at least, you have to have some sort of skill, speak the language, some sort of qualifications, credentials. So this guy has nothing. Zip, zero, nada, zilch. So he doesn't meet the citizenship or permanent resident requirements. So again, in come the NGOs, free legal stuff, absolutely free. And these NGOs have got a charity status, which is in itself irritating and annoying because they're not engaging in charity work. They claim it's a human rights issue. No, it's not. The guy can leave the country at any time. And he can go to any one of a number of refugee camps and join his family there, but he won't. He refuses to do that. And he has an army of lawyers providing free of charge legal services that no one else gets. I don't get it. If I want legal, I can't go to those guys and get free. The people down the road can't, the people around the corner can't. Yeah, but this guy gets over $1 million of free legal aid, and he's here illegally anyway. So even though he doesn't meet the citizenship requirements, they turn it somehow into a human rights issue, and again get a sympathetic judge to hear the case. Next thing, the guy's got a citizenship or permanent residency. I think one or the other might be permanent residency. Then he wants to bring his family over. So he hasn't seen them for over 12 years. He wants to bring his family from, rural Pakistan or something into Australia. So that's yet another legal case because he doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any, So again, all these free lawyers go at it, hard at it. And so, but does he just want to bring over like a wife and a couple of children or something, well, actually, he wants to bring over the extended wider family. So I think it was 2 or 3 children, a wife, and then 8 or 9 other family members like sisters and brothers and cousins and fucking aunts and uncles, you name it. So he's actually bringing over another 11 people, which are in the supposed wider family, all of whom are now permitted somehow. These NGO activist lawyers managed to wangle this, fuck knows how, 11, and now there is 11 illiterate peasants plus him, 11 illiterate peasants that have moved to Australia. Now, he's been in Australia for, again, somewhere between 12 and 15 years, I think in total is my understanding at least. So you'd think that in that time he would have maybe gone to schools, acquired some skills, or gone to the free English language classes he could have attended. There was certainly a lot of government services and NGO services available to him. But for some reason he took none of those. So he can barely speak a word of English after being here, again, somewhere between 12 and 15 years. Now, I don't know how desirable as an immigrant someone like that. Well, what value is he going to add to the society? He brings no skills. He can't speak. He can barely speak a word of English after all this time. So he's made no effort. I sort of got the impression, just looking at the thing, he may even be retarded. But anyway, it could be inbreeding. It could be first cousin marriage, procreation thing or something. I don't know. But he's got he's bringing over the white. He's allowed to bring over the wider family, sponsored a lot of them. Now, typically the sponsorship thing means that you have the financial means to look after them. And so you must have a certain income, a certain amount of savings, or this, you own property, this sort of thing. And this guy meets none of that criteria, none of it, zero. But somehow, again, he's able to do this. Now, I find this irritating in the extreme. How can someone break so many laws, meet zero criteria for being an immigrant, meet zero criteria for bringing over your family and your wider family? How's he able to bring over his fucking cousins and everything? I mean, fuck. But somehow he does it. Now, the documentary, the short documentary, pitched it as he has a right to a better life. He has a right to safety. Rights. He's got rights everywhere. Rights. Okay, let's assume he's got a right to a better life. Then he only had to move to the nearest safe country for that. Then he passes through a whole bunch of safe countries. No. He has a right to a first world country. So here's a devout Muslim. Doesn't speak a word of English, has no skills qualifications, but somehow he thinks he's entitled to, has a right to come to a rich white country. And that's really the thing. He's entitled to a better life. And if you've got a problem with that, you fucking damn Nazi. So this entire thing is a massive scam. Legal fees, the cost is going to put these people up, and the taxpayer money that's going, but human rights. Well, what human rights? Does he have a right to safety? Well, he's come from a diabolical shithole of a country, and where he knows no better. He's never been anywhere else. So he's an illiterate peasant. So what is going to? How can he change his circumstances? Now, I feel for the guy. It's unfortunate. You're a literate peasant, living out in the middle of nowhere in a very poor shithole country where armed gangs go marauding around. I get that, but it's always been that way. It's been that way for 1,000 years plus in that country or that part of the world. So why is it suddenly unique? Why is it suddenly his human rights are an issue now? Why can he break so many laws, travel such a distance, when it's obvious he's just shopping for a first world lifestyle? How is that a human right? It isn't. So this whole thing needs to be shut down urgently, in my view. And any NGO that aids and abets someone who's broken laws must have their charity status removed instantly and be fined for aiding and abetting a lawbreaker. If you put a tire mark on an LGBTQ crossing, you get fined and thrown in prison. This guy can break fuck knows how many laws, and over goodness knows how many. Instead, he's rewarded with over $1 million of free legal fees and financial handouts for more than a decade. It's insane. But this to me typifies, and to many, typifies the scam that is mass immigration and refugee and people movement generally. You've been Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.